Welcome to Comic Spot. Come on in. Bill TC's people and my people, come on in. You're going to learn some things here today. We got somebody who I really admire. Just a little backdrop. I met Bill TC in Portland, Oregon. He was featuring with Tommy Savage about a year or so ago. Great guy, funny guy. Book him fast. He's going to fill up fast. And I'm going to read you what he told me is his intro, and then we're going to chat with him. He says he was 8 years Army, followed by a career in law enforcement, retired from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department after an injury from a headbutt, knocked some sense into him, and Bill TC, the comedian, was born. Well, heck and gosh, let's talk to this hero times two. And now he's like so brave doing comedy. Let's talk to Bill TC. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Linda. How are you?
Wonderful. Oh my gosh. Thank you for coming on to Comic Spot, Bill TC. What in the world has been happening in your life during the pandemic?
Absolutely nothing. No, I actually don't mind being home. I stay home quite a bit anyway. After I retired, I was super busy for years and years and years. So retirement was actually a pretty nice thing. Even though it came a little earlier than expected, it was a headbutt. It was a true story. I got headbutt in the face working. I was a sergeant for Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I got headbutt in the face. I injured my neck. Ended up taking the medical retirement. And everything has just been great from there. I've always wanted to be a comic, and that was always like my dream for when I got other stuff finished. So I went in the military at 18, and when I got done with that, I fell right into a job here. I never really expected to stay in Las Vegas, and everything the way it happened, I was like, one day I'll get to do this comedy stuff, or one day I'll do something, besides this. And, years ago, sitting at a bar. So one of these stories that one day it'll be, if I ever become super famous, like I wrote a movie or something ends up out there that I've been working on, one day they'll be like, this overnight success. And I'll be realized, no, that was like 15 years of trying to do this. Because actually really was like 10 years ago, sitting at a bar when I was still a sergeant for Metro, and talking to a guy who couldn't believe that I was a cop. Because I was just hanging out like normal. I don't really hang out or like regular neighborhood people, but hanging out with him, and he tells me that he has a buddy that's a writer, a guy he's actually going to be going to see in LA. And I had been telling him if I wasn't a police officer, I would write a movie or a series, a story about what it's been like here in Las Vegas. And some of the stories I told him he absolutely loved. So not even a week later, he calls me up and says that he pitched this idea to this Hollywood guy who loved it and wanted to come and meet me. So this is like, probably 11 years ago. So I met this guy, and now we're really good friends. I've actually worked on some stuff with him, and hopefully one day one of my projects will be, So a few years after that, it took a little while, but I actually went to Hollywood, actually went to Beverly Hills and got to pitch this idea in Will Smith's company at the time. Because that's my friend, who's now my very good friend, was a writer for Will Smith for all these years and everything, and actually still does. And he's a great guy. So he hooked me up with this and went down there, and it didn't get picked up, but it still got me that thinking, like, this is what I should be doing. What have I been wasting all this time for? So I still had that idea in the back of my head, like, I'll keep writing this story idea. I'll work on some things the comedy stuff that I might want to do. And then when I got injured, that became like, I had the option. I could take a medical retirement and be done. And I can't believe it, that was 3.5 years ago. I retired September 16th of 2016. And I started doing comedy instantly. And actually a few months before that, I was already getting to my very first open mic and starting to tell stories. And the Bill TC was born, for sure.
Where does the TC come from?
It's very simple. I tell people all the time, it stands for the C word. Most people don't like the C word until they find out that my C word is worse than the C word they think it could have been, because it stands for cop. So.
Oh, thank God it wasn't cancer.
Exactly. Bill the cop. And I have lots of people, even after that, when I'm all done, they're like, but what does the T stand for? And I'm like, the. No, and that became because I was on a group with some new comedians and stuff that we were going out to all these open mics. And one guy, you might even know him, local comic around here, Justin Joe Brown, would post every time we would go someplace. He would post, "Bill the cop is coming," or "We'll be out with Bill the cop tonight." And he kept doing this over and over again. And I kept telling him, stop putting that on Facebook and stuff. Someone that does not like the police is going to show up at the bar. So it shortened to Bill TC. And there you go.
Got it. Well, you're one of the nicest police people I've ever met. I enjoyed talking to you, picking your brain about laws and just how far can I bend the law without going to jail. That's usually a dialogue you can have with him. He'll let you. No, I'm kidding. He wouldn't do that. I'm totally kidding. But so the first time you went on stage, before you got up on the stage, how scared were you?
Very, very much. And actually, I took a class, comedian by the name of Don Barnhart.
Yes, love him.
Runs 2 clubs out here and everything too, but Jokesters and Delirious. Hopefully they get back up and running soon. But he had a class, and I was actually online looking to figure out what to do, and I saw this class. So I jumped on it and took it. I'm like, well, there's one way to make me have to do this. So I show up at this class and I think, all right, I'll learn about the proper way to get on stage or your basic stuff. And that's exactly what it was. But what I didn't expect was on the very first day, everybody has to get up on stage and talk. He has little in his classroom as the stage area, you have to get up on stage and talk about something. And it doesn't matter what it is. And I was petrified the whole time as they're slowly going around the room after this class. And some people had been in this class before. Some people were already kind of established comics. So they would get up there and run like 5 minutes of new material. And he was like, you got to at least get up there and talk into the mic, even if you're just telling you who you are, to try to get used to this or whatever. So while I was sitting there, I was jotting down a couple of things that happened to me. And I got up there and talked. And actually, a joke that I made up that day is still a joke that I still use. It was the first joke I ever used. So the first time I actually went and did an open mic, I'd already been on these little practice stages kind of in front of some people and getting decent feedback. So I felt like my 5 minutes at an open mic wasn't going to be like death. And I went with 5 of the comics that were there. We went to a local open mic around here, and I was still petrified.
What was the first open mic you went to? Is it still in existence?
Is no longer in existence. Donnie Johnson, comedian around, used to run an open mic, and that was the first place to go to. And there were a lot of people there. There were like 30, 40 people there. And I sat at a table with the comics from this class, and we all put our name on the list. And when it came time for me to get up there, oh my goodness, I had a few shots before, a beer and a couple of shots. I'm like, well, I'm going to do this. I'll do it. And the thing that kept popping into my head is I spent 8 years in the Army. I was, can't believe Desert Storm was 30 years ago, but I was in Desert Storm. I volunteered for Desert Storm. I'd done drug enforcement. And then all these years and all these different injuries and all this stuff that's happened to me in law enforcement, why would I be afraid of some people on a stage? That pretty much became the thing, you get up there, people always tell you, what they tell you, the biggest fear that people have is public speaking, right?
Yes.
And I could get up there and tell people that, yes, this is petrifying, but it's not the same as being shot at or having anything else happening to you. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Someone's going to boo. Someone's not going to laugh. Ooh, hurt my feelings. No big deal. So it actually went pretty smooth. I actually did get some laughs on my very first time at an open mic. So I came off the stage thinking I could probably do this if I work a little harder at it. So that became the goal. The Bill TC thing really is my personality. I mean, I did this for all those years. I have 25 years total of law enforcement blended in with military and everything. So that kind of was the only thing I really knew. So to write about stuff that and believe me, cops are very sarcastic and make fun of each other on a daily basis.
That's cool.
A lot of practice over those years of making fun of cops and other cops and stuff like that. So now I can put that into joke form and kind of make fun of the profession that I had for all those years when people are taking it so seriously right now.
Yes.
Right? Whoever would have thought that I would be the person that is controversial now.
Yes.
The job that I have.
I've seen your comedy just kill. And you're so great. And you go around the country with Tommy Savitt. Have there been other comedians that aren't very famous other than yourself that you've shared the stage with?
Well, see, I got very fortunate in the very beginning. That writer friend that I told you about, that we became better and better friends as the years went on. And when I got injured, he would come to visit in Vegas a lot. He plays poker and stuff like that. So Mike Socio, great writer, wrote for Will Smith. He now works for Will Smith's new company. And but he got a job offer to go back to New York, and he was going to be writing on a sitcom. So right as I was retiring, he was like, "Hey, if you start doing some stand up, let me know and come on out." So I actually got invited only 3 months into doing stand up. I got invited. I went out and I stayed in New York with him, hanging out at his house. He was on the set of a TV show, and it was called Kevin Can Wait. And Kevin James was the star of the show. So then the fun part about that was getting to go to Governor's Comedy Club and watch Kevin James get up on stage and do comedy and stuff. So
and you were probably kind of sort of hanging out with Kevin, like once moved.
I was able to be there and watch a lot of stuff, watching a show being made, watching my friend who was the head writer on the show, and to see that kind of stuff was pretty fantastic. And at the end of that year, on the season finale, I actually got to be in an episode.
What?
Better. And I was like, well, I'm finally getting to prove that I can act as well, because I've always wanted to be an actor. Did a little bit of college a long time ago and took some acting classes and been in a few plays and things. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be my big break. So I'm like, what do I get to prove that I can act? And I played an undercover cop.
It was a real stretch.
It was a season finale episode, and I was putting a wire on Kevin James in the episode in this tiny police van that we were supposed to be in, an undercover van.
I remember that episode.
And it was a pretty easy thing for me to do, just act like I'm putting a wire on. And they're like, oh, that's so believable. I'm like, if this is what acting is, I can do this.
Are you doing a podcast or a Zoom show of your own? Are you doing Zoom show comedy for other people?
Nope, not yet. I've been doing a lot of writing. I actually had a project. Another Vegas comedy friend of mine had an idea for a show, and we pitched it to my friend Mike so he could pitch it for the whole company. And we're very close. We actually got the pitch done, and unfortunately, they decided they wasn't going to be some show they were going to pick up. So it was it was like this close from having a show bought from Will Smith's company, and everything's like so close. But we decided to put it back to our original idea, because we were writing it as a series, which is what they wanted. We came back to our original idea that movie, and writing, getting the script done for that, and hopefully at the end of this summer that'll be finished and we can sell that.
Wonderful. Where can people follow you on the interwebs so they can help you have more stalkers?
The only thing I have for right now is my Facebook page, Bill TC. T and a C.
Follow him, you guys. Funny as all get out. He's the nicest guy you're going to find out there.
Well, thank you very much, Linda. This was supposed to be the big year, though. 2020 was going to be the year that I was going to be going back up to Portland, going to be starting to go on the road, build a website, and start really getting out there and doing a lot of comedy. And you see how this went.
Yes.
Plus, I had open heart surgery in November.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that. You recovered recently from open heart surgery. You're such a trooper.
I sure did. Well, I had a valve problem, so the valve was sticking and then it was staying open. And I'd had it for a long time throughout my career, but it was always real minute. It didn't mean anything, but I hadn't had it checked in a long time. And when I retired, I realized, hey, I'm not going to be getting these yearly physicals anymore. I'm not going to be having this backup plan of working for the department. So I went and got a full physical. I got all kinds of stuff checked on. And when they went ahead and took a look at the valve, they were like, holy crap, that's a serious leak. Like, there was a lot of things. I was getting tired really easily. I was out of breath a lot. And all these ended up being symptoms of the valve leaking and not working, which I had no idea that they were the symptoms of it. I just saw I'm getting old. I mean, I just turned 50 as well. I turned 50 back in April. So at 50 years old, I'm thinking, I'm just getting tired. Now I find out, hey, there's a reason for this, because the blood is regurgitating back in, and it really runs a risk of having a lot of problems. So luckily I got it caught pretty well. I mean, it had probably been for several years, but they were able to go in and I did full open heart surgery in November. And when I came out, all this coronavirus stuff was hitting. By the time it would have been that I was about to kind of come back and be ready to do some comedy, then everything shut down. So it gave me much more time to recover and be completely better. it definitely takes several months for your sternum there to heal back after they had it busted wide open. But
You know, when you got headbutted in the police force, you know, I suffered brain trauma. Had I told you that?
no.
In '96, a drunk driver hit my car,
Oh no.
and they diagnosed me. They had the nerve to diagnose me with dementia due to head trauma.
No.
And they wouldn't give me anything to rehabilitate. So good news is I rehabilitated myself.
Well, you did a wonderful job.
Isn't that comforting?
That's comforting.
What would you say if you pulled me over and I said, no, officer, I don't know why I'm driving. No, I don't have a license. I had a brain injury and I rehabilitated. What's the problem?
That's right.
Straight to jail.
No.
Well, anyway, you've been a delight to come on this show and grace me with your presence. And I want people to follow you, Bill TC, on Facebook. And anytime you see him on a marquee or billing, go to the show. You're going to be very pleasantly surprised. He's not one of the guys that does an imitation of Don Rickles. May he rest in peace. He doesn't get in your face. He just delivers stuff from his life, and it's hilarious.
Thank you very much, Linda. I enjoyed this.
You bet. Thank you so much. I'll post all about you, and people will love you even more.
Well, thanks. Have a great day.
Bye. You too. Love you lots.
Everybody's talking.